So I know in my last video I said that my next review would be Moby Dick, but I had to take a moment to talk about one of the most popular books of the last several years, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It was published in 2018 and since then has sold more than 10 million copies and has been on the New York Times bestseller list for 167 weeks and counting, and the movie just came out. In this video, I'll give my thoughts on both the book and the film and talk about how they're similar and how they're different. This video will contain minor spoilers, so here's your warning. Let me just start off by saying that I acknowledge I am not the target demographic for this book or the film, but if you've seen my review on The Notebook, you know that I am a sucker for a good chick flick. Okay, Where the Crawdads Sing. I would liken it to a kind of a combination between To Kill a Mockingbird and The Notebook and maybe A Time to Kill. It's a coming-of-age story about a young girl named Kaya who grew up in the marshlands of North Carolina in the 1950s and 60s. She had an abusive father, and she's eventually abandoned by all of her family members one by one until eventually she's left totally alone to fend for herself. But before you're even introduced to young Kaya, you learn that years later, a couple of young boys find a dead body of a young man in the marsh, and the local sheriff suspects foul play and eventually arrests and charges adult Kaya with murder. And the book goes back and forth between the present day murder investigation and subsequent trial and Kaya's past until you are eventually kind of caught up to present day. And I found it to be a really interesting way to structure the novel because it keeps you guessing. I liked the book a lot. You know, it's not the best book I've ever read. The writing quality is maybe a step above YA novels, but I found the characters to be compelling, especially the character of Kaya. I was really rooting for her throughout. She's a very sympathetic character. She's just somebody who is yearning for love and acceptance and really any kind of human connection. The movie is directed by Olivia Newman. The movie is something a lot of people have been waiting for, and I have to admit I was pretty leery. Just a couple minutes into the film, I was sitting in my seat in the theater going, oh man, this is not going to be good. It seemed like B-movie made-for-TV quality at first. It starts with a CGI bird flying over the marsh, and if you've seen some of my other videos, you know my thoughts on CGI animals. Some of the dialogue was kind of tacky at the beginning, but I will say that as the movie went along, I was really impressed with how faithful it is to the novel, and I really thought the casting choices and the acting were pretty darn good. The main character, Kaya, is played by Daisy Edgar-Jones, who I really like. She's a young up-and-coming actress who I recently saw in the Hulu series, Under the Banner of Heaven, which she was really good in. Expect to see a lot more of her in the coming years. And she was terrific in the film. I would say her performance is probably the best part about this movie. Tate is played by Taylor John Smith. Chase Andrews is played by Harris Dickinson. Jumpin' is played by Sterling Macer Jr., and Kaya's attorney is played by veteran actor David Strathairn. All excellent choices, and I found the chemistry between the characters to be really strong, especially between Daisy Edgar-Jones and Taylor John Smith. I would say one of the biggest differences between the book and the film is the sequence of events and how they're told. Both cut back and forth between the murder investigation and trial and Kaya's past, but the movie gets to the trial much quicker than the book does. The movie essentially starts with Kaya getting arrested, and that doesn't happen until much later in the book. The book strings you along the murder investigation for much longer. There are a few things that happen in the film that aren't in the book. I won't list them all, but here are a few. A big element of the story is this love triangle between Kaya and Tate and Chase. And there's a scene in the film where Tate and Chase get in this fight on a boat dock, and Chase punches Tate. Anyway, that doesn't happen in the book. In the book, Kaya finds out about Chase's engagement to another woman by reading an ad in the local newspaper about it, whereas in the movie, she actually bumps into them outside of a grocery store and learns that way. There's also no mention of Amanda Hamilton in the movie. If you've read the book, you know that she is a poet who you eventually find out is actually Kaya the whole time, writing under a pseudonym. So it adds an extra layer to Kaya's character that you don't get in the movie, but to be honest, I feel like leaving that out of the film didn't detract anything and I didn't miss it. I will say that I felt Kaya's heartache over her mother abandoning her a little bit stronger while I was reading the book than the way it's portrayed in the movie. I feel like it's kind of sprinkled a few times throughout the film, but you almost forget about it, or it seems like Kaya has almost forgotten about it in the film. But it's always kind of a constant heartache for her in the novel, so you feel that a little bit more in the book. But overall, I thought it was a really good adaptation of the book. Towards the end, I was tearing up, so it got to me that way. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know that at the end of each video, I tell you which one I liked better, the book or the film. But every now and then, I honestly feel like I enjoyed both equally, and that's the case here with Where the Crawdads Sing. Have you read the book and seen the movie? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Yes, my next review will be Moby Dick. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.